They're doing all this for a 6 out of 10 review? I better hide or something. God, I'm done. So Lorde, you may know her for albums such as Pure Heroine, Melodrama, and the very polarizing Solar Power, which didn't seem to satisfy the needs of Lorde fans like the first two did. But when she broke onto the scene, she was honestly pretty riveting and interesting for a mainstream pop act. We hadn't really seen a song like Royals get big in that kind of way and be so minimal, not really have such a bombastic sound to it. And I think that really drew her a massive audience in the way that she did, because at the time in 2013, while there are a lot of singers that take influence from Lorde now and use that vocal style, that whispery tone, that kind of, not as like in your face vocal style, she kind of broke through during a time where that just wasn't a thing. So it's easy to forget that 12 years ago, before Lorde, we hadn't really quite seen somebody that big. And then Melodrama just completely solidified it, and she became like the queen of alt pop and like the Gen Z millennial queen, really. And yeah, you can see why. It's a well-written album. It is good. It could easily be considered her best. I think it's pretty close between Pure Heroine and that. But for me, I've never been a massive fan of Lorde. So the slump that we got with Solar Power was disappointing, but yeah, I mean, since then, I've just not really gone back to her music as much, and Virgin, for me, really wasn't setting itself up to be much better. It's not really an album that I was anticipating after hearing the 3 singles that came out. Just none of them did anything for me. Now that we've got the full album, I've kind of just ultimately decided that a lot of my thoughts on Lorde have been very much solidified, really. I think she's good at her best. She can be, good. But I don't know if she's anything more than that. And that includes Melodrama. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's a good album, but I think people go way overboard with that one. Maybe it's an age thing. Maybe if you heard that when you were a teenager, it would blow you away. But for me personally, I don't know. It never really quite gripped me like that. And yeah, everything I'm thinking of Lorde at the moment is kind of just coming to life with Virgin. But honestly, this is worse than I could have expected. You might want to turn away at this point, because this is not going to be a very pleasant review. I am going to provide the unpopular take here, I guess, or the controversial take, that this album just really isn't good. Like, I was surprised at how poor a lot of the elements were on this album, and I think a lot of people are going to be entering this review thinking I'd probably end up liking it. Or, you might think the album's good, you might not absolutely love it, but you can appreciate what it's doing. I can't even do any of that. Like, I'm not even on that side of the fence at all. Like, this album to me was just painfully boring to sit through. I know that's maybe a very derivative way to describe an album, but I'm sorry, she provided derivative music. It's not my fault. There are moments where I think it sounds fine. Like, Hammer, I guess the build is okay. Like, it's nice, but it doesn't absolutely satisfy me or anything like that. Favorite Daughter, I thought, had one of the more interesting instrumentals. And then, like, beyond that, I'm just, like, lost for words, really, to find any enjoyment. Like, I'm just not getting anything out of most of this album. What was the first taster of what we were expecting. And it really just feels like her trying to capture that audience that loved Melodrama a little bit, because it's kind of got that slow moving chorus and then it builds into a more hype chorus and it feels anthemic, I guess, but it feels like somebody who doesn't understand what makes Melodrama good, or isn't capable of making the songs from Melodrama sound good, making a song to me, which is insane because she's the same artist that made that album. But this song just loses all of the magic, the essence of a song like A Green Light or whatever. I don't think she's completely trying to recreate that, but it does feel like it's kind of got that essence and just falls flat on its face. The verses are just dead. Like, there's just nothing to get out of the verses at all. I'm sorry, man. I just don't hear it at all on this track. Her voice is really monotone. And then it gets to that chorus that tries to build into something, and I don't know, it's just completely ungratifying. Like, it really doesn't leave me with anything. I'm not moved. I'm not moving, even though it's maybe trying to make me move a little bit. It's not doing anything for me. The lyrics as well feel really immature, and the like kind of teenage angst of it all just feels like we maybe should have moved a little bit past this by now, beyond, you know, the albums that we'd already got doing this kind of thing. Like, it was okay writing these kinds of lyrics when she was super young, because she was really young when she first broke onto the scene. But there was a maturity to that writing that somehow is lost here, and yet she's like 10 years older. Somebody explain that for me. I don't get it. And I've got to stick it into the writing even further here, unfortunately, because I don't know, man. Some of the writing across this entire album, to me, is just really piss poor. Like, Shapeshifter, I can see what it's trying to go for, and I think maybe the idea of maybe labeling yourself as some kind of shapeshifter could be cool, but it just ends up coming out with the most like simple comparisons ever. Like, you know, I'm sometimes ice and I'm sometimes fire, and it just goes on this run of these comparisons for a little bit that's just really clunky, awkward, and just poorly written and poorly executed as well. Because, like I say, the backdrop of a lot of these tracks is just really like simple, bare to the bones instrumentation. Might be a bit of piano, but a cliche sort of sad piano going on, and kind of like skittery, electronic-y production playing as well. That just feels like it's not being fully formed. It sounds like it's still very skeletal and not really in its like final stages. It felt like, you know, it feels like at times, and this track isn't even the worst offender, but it does feel like at times like I'm listening to a track that feels like it needs one more element added on top of it to make it a full song, because otherwise you're just getting Lorde's whispery vocals, which isn't enough to keep me engaged, and then the instrumental that feels like it's not fully finished, not going anywhere or doing anything captivating. I'm just like completely bored all the time. So then I think, okay, let's not go too hard here on the music. Maybe it's the writing that she's really wanting us to focus on, because perhaps that's how she wants to present the album. So I do that, and I listen to the lyrics, and it doesn't get any better, and we get songs like Broken Glass. And this is a song that bugs me a little bit, because I just feel like the writing, particularly on the chorus, where she's talking about how the mirror, looking into the mirror, breaks a glass, bad luck, all that nonsense. I just really can't stand the writing here at all. But the bugging thing for me is the fact that I think there are other singers that maybe don't have the clout that Lorde does, that doesn't have that same appreciation that Lorde does, that wouldn't get away with this. If another writer was writing these words, we would be absolutely hammering them for it. We'd be talking about how basic and lazy the writing is, and how, you know, I just think Lorde's getting a bit of a pass here, but I can't really get with what she's going for. The metaphor just isn't sinking in for me whatsoever. Again, with a track like David, for me, I'm still not really fully sold on the way she's conveying it. I think the idea of the writing makes sense. Talking about how do we always run to the ones that we do? Am I going to be alone? Will I ever love again? That kind of thing. Like, that's all valid and okay. It's just how it's conveyed in the song, how it's been presented in just such a basic, bare to the bones way. Vocally, I don't think she's selling the emotion here either. I never really thought of Lorde not being able to do that in her songs, because I think she can do that. But across this album, I think the delivery a lot of the time is just very samey. She doesn't really switch up her voice to kind of convey those big emotional moments for me. I'm just kind of like not feeling it, and I should be feeling it, because this should be done in a way that makes me feel it. But yeah, I just think, again, if I was listening to anybody else, I think these words would maybe hit harder, and they're just not really hitting. But it is the production a lot of the time that's not really carrying these moments, or maybe the echoey effect on her voice on Clear Blue is just not flattering her style or her delivery whatsoever. In fact, it's completely messing with how the song sounds, and it just doesn't really make you feel anything at all. It's different to an artist maybe using auto-tune for a particular effect or a particular reason, like a Charlie, for example. There's always a purpose as to why it's being used, but the purpose here isn't really clear, despite the fact it's called Clear Blue. Come on, man. And yeah, it just doesn't really flatter her vocals whatsoever. And I know it's an only really short track, and perhaps you could even label it as an interlude, but it's a short album already, man. Like, you've got to take all these moments and take them for what they are, because it's, yeah, not a particularly long album, and these fleeting tracks aren't really hitting. Grown Woman is just written in a way that's very girl boss, just no substance to it whatsoever to me. Again, I can kind of see what she's going for, but it's just not really working. And perhaps there's going to be some people, based on what I see around online, that will go, oh, but yeah, but you're a dude and she's a girl, you're just not relating to this. And I just want to kind of stop you in your tracks a little bit for a second there, because yeah, obviously I'm not going to relate to this. I'm not going to relate to 99% of the music I discuss on this channel, because those people are experiencing things that I won't experience. They're from different places. They were brought up differently to me. They're different gender, races, all that kind of stuff, of course. But, you know, a truly great artist can break those boundaries and convey what they're feeling or putting across in a way that makes it not matter where you're from. You can just understand it. You can feel what they're saying, despite the fact that you can't relate to it. So I just want to kind of break that argument down immediately, because I just think the idea that, you know, Lorde isn't making music for a particular group is a bit of a lazy argument, because again, she wasn't making music for me on Melodrama, but I totally was on board with what she was doing. So did I, you know, not understand that album? Like, it's just a bit of a annoying argument that I can just imagine cropping up, just to kind of go, well, you don't get it, so get out of this conversation. It's like, music isn't necessarily made to be related to at all times, you know? I don't have to relate to it to really love it. Of course. But anyway, current affairs. I don't care who's relating to this one, man. This is shit. that is a terrible song, man. That sample on the chorus. Why? How does she think that made sense? The lyrics fitting in with the track, first of all. But the main offender is just how the style is completely like a mismatch with how the song was sounding. It's a complete, like, eyesore, just a total wreckage being completely planted and dunked onto the song in the most awkward way possible. That song is not it, man. Really jarring, was surprised, had to rewind the song every time I played the album. I was just like, let me just play it again. Is something accidentally ended up in the files of the music here? This just doesn't work. What is that track? Yeah, in case you couldn't tell, I'm just going to stop it there. And a lot of this just isn't working for me, whether it's the writing, the vocal style, the production, everything is just so flat. I thought Solar Power was flat. Like, it didn't really feel like it hit very hard. But now looking back at Solar Power, I kind of appreciate that she just went for it, you know? Like, she just said, mate, you're expecting me to do the same thing again? Well, let me show you right now. I'm here to do something different. And while I still don't really like that album, I massively appreciate her just taking that leap. What we get with Virgin, I'm just like, it's just like, yeah. It's not taking a leap. it's kind of going backwards. It's trying to recreate some things that we've had before, but just doing it all in the most boring way. The production isn't daring. The production at times is bare to the bones and barely anything's going on. The writing is untidy, to say the least. The vocals aren't selling the emotion either. I'm sorry, guys. I'm feeling negative with this one. I'm going to go 4.5 out of 10. This didn't do it for me. I'm surprised I'm going this low for Lorde. But I had to be honest. My first listen to this album was just like, wow, I did not get anything out of that at all. So I thought, right, let's play it multiple times, different times of the day, different settings. Let's just see if it will click at some point. It just didn't. So yeah, not a good one for me, this one. I don't think this review will be too agreeable for people, but I am interested to see what people think. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed. If this is the review you want to stick around for, go for it. Watch more videos as well. Check out my Patreon membership page, all that good stuff if you like what I do over here. Have a good day and goodbye.